Good evening. You're watching News Night, and the controversial remark by RSS Chief Sanghchalak Mohan Bhagwat has raised a few hackles today from opposition leaders. He, remember, was trying to dissociate the word lynching from the Indian context, suggesting that the tradition of lynching is not very Indian, and has sought to discourage people trying to link the phenomena of lynching to either Indian ethos or Indian culture or tradition. He said that this particular word, lynching, and the act of lynching originates to a foreign ethos. Its lynching is alien to Indian ethos. Pat came the reply from the opposition leaders who have sought to ask Mr. Bhagwat whether or not it makes a difference where it originated from, and whether or not he is trying to either make light of the very serious problem on a spate of lynching across the country. We have some reactions lined up. We'll also take a look at what the Sanghchalak of the RSS had to say. Take a look at these reactions. I'll introduce my guest panel after.
एक षड्यंत्र चल रहा है, ये सबने समझना चाहिए। संघ का नाम लेते होंगे, हिंदुओं का नाम लेते होंगे, केवल नाम नहीं लेते, जो हमारे देश में कभी रहा नहीं, आज भी नहीं है। जैसे एक शब्द चला पिछले साल, लिंचिंग, ये क्या हमारे यहाँ होता था? कभी हुआ है? ये शब्द कहां से आए हैं? इसके संबंधित पुरानी कहानी तो एक बाहर जो धर्म ग्रंथ तैयार हुआ उससे मिलती है। तो ये घटनाएं कहाँ की है? जहां की है वहां उसके लिए शब्द है। हमारे यहाँ ऐसा कुछ हुआ नहीं।
Call it what you want, call it by some other word, call it by a Bharatiya Sanskriti approved term. It's still a horrible thing to do. Crime is a crime, whether it was done by Indians or whether it was done in the West.
Who are the lynchers? Who do the lynching? They belong to certain ideological, political organizations, and I can say they have a close association with RSS and affiliate organizations.
Lynching is part of everyday phenomena now. Is there a day, single day, when there is no lynching? The message should be, India has no space for lynching, rather than putting the blame that people are trying to defame India.
And joining us tonight on News Night is Geeta Bhatt, as well as Tuhin Sinha, who is from the BJP. Geeta Bhatt is an academician. Also with us is Dr. T.A. Rahmani. Thank you for joining us, all of you. I'll introduce my one more guest as and when he does join us. Geeta Bhatt, I'd like to start off with you. The criticism coming Mohan Bhagwat's way is that perhaps he's trying to either make light of the serious problem of lynching, which is a crime in the country, by giving it a cultural context and saying it's not in the Indian ethos. Nobody seems to be suggesting that lynching was invented in India or by Indians. Do you believe that by saying that India has nothing to do with lynchings, Mr. Bhagwat has perhaps tried to make light of a very serious criminal problem that we have in the country? Even if you heard Mr. Tharoor say, he said, call it by any other name, it is a murder really, and an extrajudicial murder. How does that make a difference where it originated from?
Well, Athar, Mr. Mohan Bhagwat today, raised various pertinent issues which are very much relevant in the present context. And one of them was about, the word lynching. And basically what he was trying to talk about was that the way lynching has been addressed and is being, targeted as in terms of that what exactly, that which particular community is trying to do it and who are the ones who are the sufferers of it. While this is a problem which is irrespective of the community, we have seen that all time and again there have been so many cases where there have been smugglers who have been smuggling cows. They have attacked villagers. It has very recently happened in Alwar, and it is not just one case, it has happened many times, and there have been many such cases. So while the whole issue was that while people who are associated with the organization, they are being falsely targeted, and this is what is being communicated, and that even in the international media, the perception of the nation that here people are not safe, and especially those who are minority, this kind of a false perception is being created, which is something which is of grave concern. And at the same time, irrespective of whichever community, any Indian citizen has to be a law-abiding citizen and should not take law into his own hands. No, so this is what was the message that he was trying to give.
But Geeta, that's some critics would say that's a very roundabout way of trying to exonerate those cases of lynchings which were in fact found to be with a certain angle. I'm not going into communities right now. I don't believe we should go into communities when we're tackling a crime like mob lynching or public lynching. I also want to introduce one more guest who has joined us before I go to Tuhin Sinha and T.A. Rahmani. I would in fact ask my fourth guest today, Abhishek Rajaram, who's an author who joins us. Thank you, sir, for joining us on the debate. Let me go back to T.A. Rahmani on this. Is it what Geeta Bhatt is saying, Mr. Rahmani, that Mr. Bhagwat was trying to make a distinction here, that there are some people who might be out to malign a particular community or certain people associated with the Sangh when they speak of lynching? Or do you think that particular statement where he says it's a foreign it's a foreign invention, if you will, I'm paraphrasing here, and has nothing to do with Indian ethos, is that even important? Since wherever it originated from, we are seeing massive lynchings, many cases coming to light in the past few years, and a lot of them, a large number of them, are associated with, let's say, Gauraksha or what have you. Do you think that makes it any different where Mr. Bhagwat tried to make that distinction? Does it mean that the lynching logic that Mr. Bhagwat is giving right now, I'm not saying he's condoning lynching, I'm just saying that he's trying to make a distinction here. Does that fly with you?
No, I think Mr. Mohan Bhagwat today has tried to wash away with the allegation of this lynching over to the RSS and its allied organization, because there is a lot of mention in foreign media about the RSS being a radicalized right-wing organization. He is so much perturbed with those allegations put on that organization. But the fact remains, since 2015, the March 2015 onward, if you know, lynching is a particular word, it has been used. I'm sure Mohan Bhagwat ji is well aware, if he's saying that it has been originated from some foreign land, then must be is aware that he did not name the land and the community, though he has referred the other communities. I don't know which community he is actually trying to paint upon that the allegation of lynching. But the fact remains, in 1890 onwards, it was used in South America. And from there it has been generated, and it was between the black and white Christian communities over there, and it was for 40 years. It goes on. So he did not name and mention all these things, but the fact remains, there are I have always maintained there are so many terms to represent the killings and the mass killing, the particular kind of killing,
so
be it the pogrom, be it
if I understand you correctly,
genocide.
Mr. Rahmani, if I understand you correctly, what you're trying to say is call it by whatever name you want. One second. No, I get your point. I get your point.
Particular phenomena of lynching is.
I get your point, Mr. Rahmani. I want to involve Tuhin Sinha on this.
Has been hanged on the trees after killing.
Yes, I understand this. This used to happen. Lynchings or public lynchings, Tuhin Sinha, are not new. We all know that. It's
and
not. One second, sir.
One
second, please.
Who has been glorified?
Now, one second.
After committing this.
Mr. Rahmani, now you've spoken. Now I want to ask Tuhin Sinha. I've asked Tuhin Sinha one question. Now, Tuhin, we all know that lynchings, public lynchings, mob lynchings, are not an India-centric phenomena. Throughout history, we have had cases where one mob or the other has lynched people. We saw that in the 1930s and 40s, where black people in America were publicly hanged by another group. Let's call them the radical whites there, and it's happened before that as well. We had the Salem witch hunts of the 17th century, so it's not new, and I understand that. But call it by any other name, as I'm sure you heard Mr. Tharoor say, does it take away the gravity of the situation? You call it by whatever name you want. But is this not an attempt to perhaps make light of a crime against humanity?
Very happy.
Yes.
Yeah, very happy Dussehra to you and to all the viewers.
Happy Dussehra. Happy Dussehra to you.
Points to make. You know, the word lynching.
Happy Dussehra to you too.
And I have a few important points to make, and I feel. Thank you, Ramani ji. Thank you, Ramani ji. To you too. See, Athar, I have a few important points to make, and I will explain why Mohan Bhagwat ji was absolutely correct.
Okay.
The word lynching in the last 3 years has been used to concoct a very negative narrative about the country. And I'll tell you why. Just 2 days ago, on Sunday evening, one of the 49 celebrities who had written to the Prime Minister complaining about intolerance posted a video on Facebook about a Dalit girl being burned to death in Madhya Pradesh. Within minutes, it was found out that that video was from a Southeast Asia country. She deleted that video. A few minutes later, she posted another video from Guatemala about the same crime. When it was pointed out by somebody who I know, he was blocked from Facebook by her, and he has no means to see what she posted later. But this is the truth about these celebrities who have used a certain word to defame India. Now, I agree, hate crimes have taken place in the country, but then hate crimes have not been specific to one religion. Do you remember Dhruv Tyagi? In May 2019, somebody in Delhi by the name of Dhruv Tyagi was murdered just because he protested against the teasing of his daughter by some people.
No, Mr. Rahmani, please don't interrupt. I'm only asking Tuhin this, that who on this panel, Tuhin, is trying to link either lynchings or these public mob or hangings or whatever to a particular religion or community? At least I'm not doing that. I'm only saying that if lynchings are happening in this country, public execution is happening,
I explained to you.
No, but who is linking communities?
I explained to you why that word needs to be avoided in the Indian context. I started by explaining to you why that word needs to be avoided in the Indian context, because some people have used it for their selfish agendas to purposely defame the country.
So what, you change the name, will it stop the crime?
The only time lynching happened in a real sense was India was by Aurangzeb.
No, but by giving it another name, Tuhin, are you going to then say that if you call it by another name, it's going to stop? I'm concerned not with what you call it, but I'm concerned whether any sane person should be concerned.
Athar, you know that more hate crimes exist in America than they exist in India. I would simply call them hate crimes. The word lynching has been concocted. It has been deliberately misappropriated to present a negative picture of the country, and India should never be known so. That is precisely what Mohan Bhagwat ji meant.
Look, okay, I want to ask Mr. Rajaram on this. Mr. Rajaram, if a crowd of people catches hold of an individual who they suspect has committed a crime against the law of the country or the law of the land, then they go on and continue to brutalize him or her in whatever, either name of religion, community, or law and order, whatever. If a 500-strong mob kills one person, on the streets of India, what should we call it? If that's not a lynching, what can we call it?
That's the biggest problem. That's the root cause of this problem, because there is no word as such lynching in the Indian law. On 23rd of July 2018, Supreme Court has asked government to frame a law on this, and on 23rd July 2018 itself, they made two high-level committees. One was called Group of Ministers, where Home Minister Rajnath Singh was the head of that, and late Shri Sushma Swaraj, Nitin Gadkari ji, Ravi Shankar Prasad, and Thawarchand Gehlot were the members. And there was another committee which was made under Home Secretary Rajiv Gauba. Secretaries of Justice, Legal Affairs, Social Justice and Empowerment Department were the member of this. But till date we don't see any law. We had till date seen only two advisory by this government. This government, central government, is going very weak, very slow on lynching matters, and I grossly oppose what Mohan Bhagwat ji has said today, because by saying this, no religion in this world, no religion, I can put it on record, no religion in this world teaches lynching. Every religion in this world teaches peace and harmony towards fellow countrymen, fellow human being. No religion teaches this sort of misdeed with the humanity. The problem is, in this current scenario, there are lynchers. They don't fear the law. They don't fear the police. They make videos. They share those videos on WhatsApp, social media, Facebook, that we were part of this lynching group. We did lynching. And what happens after they come? They are sent behind the bars. And what happens when they come out of the bar? they are garlanded by the ministers.
Respond to that, Tuhin. Respond to that. Respond to what Mr. Rajaram has said just now.
No, I would still say you check the crime data of India with US, and probably more crimes take place in the US.
No, but why are you comparing
if a certain person who has killed,
are we not supposed to worry about our own law and order situation rather than worry about what's happening in America, Tuhin?
There are still adequate provisions under the IPC. There are still adequate provisions under the IPC to deal with all of these, whether it's making a video after killing somebody, and law and order being a state subject, it is incumbent upon each state government to act with exceptional alacrity in these situations.
No, my point is, like, many critics today have come out, and Geeta Bhatt, you can come in if you like on this question as well. Many critics who've come out today, who've criticized either Mr. Bhagwat's statement or what they call is really an effort to perhaps normalize or make light of a very serious crime, is that it doesn't matter what you call it, by what name you call it. Lynchings, public lynchings, mob lynchings are unfortunately, Geeta ji, a reality of our times, and we've seen those crimes go up in the past few years. So what is the need to try and dissociate something which is happening on the streets of India right now? Whether or not it's Indian is irrelevant right now. We as a society have to deal with it, unfortunately, the reality of our times. Yes.
Yes, and that is the reason, Athar, that since this is a problem which at present our society is facing, that this was brought up by Mohan Bhagwat ji in his speech. That is the very reason why it was brought to the notice of all the Swayamsevaks, that each one of, in fact, what is pertinent is that he defined that what do we understand by a patriot post-independence. A patriot is a person who abides by the constitution of the country, and that is what he stressed upon in his speech. And I want to bring one or two points over here. You see what has happened is, like one of the other speakers also had mentioned it, that there is time and again there is a certain section of so-called intelligentsia which has connections in the international circuit, where the kind of news which actually appears in the international media, there have been in Maharashtra more than 20 lynching cases. Same has been the case in Tamil Nadu, in West Bengal, in Assam, where people thought that, and it has nothing to do, just because they thought that these are the ones who are picking up children from their small towns and villages, and those people were lynched. Same kind of a thing happened in Alwar. There was one man, he was 28 years who got lynched, and his father, just because of the apathy of the state government there, his blind father committed suicide because no one listened to him. So these are also the cases, but somehow there are only particular news which are being taken and broadcasted in social media or in the international press, trying to put the country in a bad light, and that is what was being stressed upon.
So you're
and
saying
also that each one of us should not try to, no one should try to take the law in their hand.
No, so you're saying a section of the foreign media.
This topic
all right.
or this particular subject was talked about.
Geeta ji, you're suggesting that a section of the foreign press tries to concentrate more, perhaps, and try to portray more on those lynchings and murders that happen on the streets of India, which either have a Gau Raksha angle or have certain connections of the lynchers with either the Sangh or affiliated organizations. When you say that there are lynchings are happening all across the country, not necessarily Gau Raksha related, or not necessarily with people involved who might or might not be part of the Sangh. But my question is, and Mr. Rajaram can come in on this, as can Mr. Rahmani, does that make it any better? Does that even make a difference about which kind of lynching is portrayed either in the Indian press or the foreign press? Unfortunately, as long as such lynchings happen, Mr. Rajaram, whether they're Gau Raksha related or not, it will give India a bad name. Whether or not it originated here or not, nobody is going to care about that.
So when a mob of people beats a person for more than 15 hours, 18 hours, and makes a video and share it on social media, then what sort of police arrangement do we have? I'm talking about the Tabriz Ansari case for Jharkhand. In 2016, cow vigilance alert was issued by central government. In July 2018, child lifting vigilance alert was issued by central government. police and public are the state matters. Agree. As Madam has rightly said about the West Bengal, so West Bengal has come with West Bengal Prevention of Lynching Bill, which has become Act in August 2019. So they are making bills. Rajasthan has also come with an act against this. Where is the bill?
So I'll give concluding remarks to Mr. Rahmani and then Tuhin Sinha. Very quickly, Mr. Rahmani, respond to what Geeta Bhatt and Tuhin have said in terms of their justification, what Mr. Bhagwat has said.
I just want to say that you have to segregate the various terms for various crimes. The lynching has a particular kind of a modus operandi, and the murders and the riots and the mob violence, it's all are different. So you cannot club every crime with the lynching. Lynching is a separate kind of thing. Number one. Number two, do you have any other indigenous term for such a crime? And if at all it doesn't exist, can you create a crime because the hate crimes are going on? You cannot deny it. Rather than stopping those crimes, we are encouraging, and I'm very unfortunately and very sad to say that we have made this lynching or any kind of such hate crimes, we have made a profession. It has become a new kind of an employment for some misguided youth, and we are encouraging them by garlanding
No, that's a serious allegation. Tuhin will respond. Tuhin will respond. Okay, Mr. Rahmani, I've heard you out. Tuhin will respond to this. Go ahead, Tuhin Sinha.
No. Arthur, you are a fair person, you're objective and you are honest, but maybe Mohan Bhagwat ji did not spell it out in detail in his speech, but he was clearly referring to a certain section of society which appears in amnesty video in India, which has used the word intolerance and lynching in the last 3 years to make their livelihood. Those are redundant people, and he was clearly referring to that section of society. Probably he missed out the detailing in his speech because his speech covered many other aspects, and that is where what he said becomes relevant. Obviously, the Braze Ansari case should be fast-tracked. It should meet with the highest punishment, and that, like I have mentioned, is the responsibility of each state government. But the word has been extensively misused by a certain section of society, and that is where we have a problem with that word being promoted in future.
Different nomenclature, Tuhin, is that the solution, that you don't call it lynching but you call it something else? Will that perhaps then make sure that our politicians at the state level, our police forces, are sensitive?
I mean, let's be honest over here. Let's be honest over here. Crimes have existed in society from the time immemorial.
Clearly.
They can only be reduced, but they cannot be completely eliminated. And we are committed. If you check now, let me be more specific. If you check out the NCRB data, have crimes reduced in Rajasthan in the last 10 months from the time the Congress government has been in power? So that is where, creating a false narrative does not work. Let's treat it as a crime.
You're saying the problem of lynching as a problem also coexists with the problem of false narratives. That's what Mr. Bhagwat was trying to suggest. There are, of course, his critics who do not agree. Unfortunately, we run out of time on this one as well. Geeta Bhatt, thank you for your time. Tuhin Sinha, Mr. T. Rahmani and Professor Rajaram. That was News Night. I'm Arthur Khan. Thank you for watching.